Hello and welcome, it's Ruth here at artfulstampin.co.uk. Thank you for coming to my channel to have a look at what I'm up to. Okay, so this started off as an idea in my head inspired by the vision of Audrey Hepburn at the races in My Fair Lady, and I always love that kind of black and white stripe next to florals. So that is my kind of original inspiration. So what I'm going to be doing here, oh dear, sorry, I'm trying to sit down and I've got stuff on my chair. I didn't realise it was on my chair. Oh my goodness, right. All right, let's start again. So I have already cut out some strips of glimmer paper from the pack that's in the mini catalogue, and you get 6 sheets, 3 of Evening Evergreen, oh sorry, no, 2 of Evening Evergreen, 2 of like pretty white stroke diamondy colour or diamond effect, and then 2 of the gold. Okay, so this is very much a Christmassy pack, but every time Stampin' Up come out with new glimmer paper, I'm just like a magpie. I love it because it's just such a nice element to add to your card making. So what I've gone and done, I have cut a piece of the sticky sheet, and this measures 7.5 centimeters wide, and I've also got a piece of black cardstock here that also measures 7.5 centimeters. Now, although I've taken this off, I think I might just put that there because I need this to be as precise as possible as I stick it down. So I think that's not too bad. Just going to roll that back off and lay that down. Okay, so as I said, I needed this to be as precise as possible because I now need to cut this panel into 2.5 centimeter strips. And it will all become clear in a moment. So 2.5. So if you're going to be working in inches, I'll have a look and see what would be the best thing. So you're looking at, so these are 0.5 centimeter strips. So these are 3/16 wide. Okay, 3/16 wide. So I'll let you guys do the maths on that one. So those are my 3 pieces ready, and I'm only going to work on one at a time. And as I said, I've got these strips ready cut, and these are 0.5 centimeter strips of black cardstock and the glimmer. Okay, just getting that ready for me to stick my pieces down. So I need to start off with a piece of the glimmer. Just going to pop that down. And as I say, get this as precise as possible. So then put a black one. I might just shift that round because that might be a bit easier for me. It's easier to sort of pull it towards me. And I'm also pushing it into the glimmer paper that I've already laid down. It just so happens I've got matching nails today. That really happens. Rarely happens that I put nail varnish on, actually. So okay, so again I'm pushing that in and down towards the card. Okay, one more black one. Ooh. That noise is my fingers touching the sticky and then coming back off again. Okay, so last one. So I'm going to go and stick the rest of them, but I won't film it. I'll spare you that repetition of technique. So there you have a beautiful glimmer striped piece of decorative element. So here are my ready prepared stripes, or card ribbon stripes, whatever you want to call them. I've also cut some card bases ready to put some of my cards together, and I've just used basic black, and they're a combination of approximately 8 to 9 centimeters wide, with a panel that's going to sit inside them. So what I'm planning to do is to use an embossing folder, and I've got these ones here. They're quite fabulous. They're the narrower ones that go through the mini cut and emboss machine. Now, what I want to do also is show you where the design is going to go. I want to have the stripe go at an angle. Now this is really beneficial for me because there's no way I could emboss that whole panel in one go. So I'm going to cut these panels into pieces and then emboss them. So just bring on my trimmer and I'll decide which way around I want it to go. Right, I want it to go that way. So just going to pop that in at an angle and cut that. And same with this piece here. Put that at an angle and cut that. So then I'm going to grab my mini cut and emboss machine. I do like this because you can pop it onto your desk and it doesn't take up too much room. And I need plate 1. And I think it's plate 3. That's what I have written on my embossing folders. I have the numbers written on there, you see. It makes it a bit easier for me. So let's pop these through. Look at that, it fits perfectly. I do want to get these straight because these have got polka dots on them, so just take a moment to line that up properly. Alright, then do the sandwich and then pop that through. Let's have a look at my... Oh, gorgeous. Right, I'll do all the others and come back. So I've embossed my panels and I want to get those stuck down. So what I want to do first though is stick that one, and I want that one raised up a little bit. So I'm going to... Actually, do I want to do this now? Well, I've started, so I was just wondering whether or not I do. Yes, I do. I'll do this. I'll stick this down, and then I'm having second thoughts because I thought, oh no, I've got to cut my ribbon yet. My homemade ribbon. But I can do that against this piece. Okay, so now I noticed that on this one, I've got a little bit sticking out from the side, and I'm going to try very carefully to cut that, just to trim that down a tiny wee bit. Okay, now I know our Stampin' Up! Trimmer is pretty good, and I have got a fairly new blade in there, so I'm hoping that it's going to be fine. You know what I'm going to do to make my life easy? I'm going to take a piece of washi tape because I'm finding it really hard to place it and for it to stay exactly where I want it to stay. So I'm just going to pop a bit of washi tape there. Even popping washi tape still, I still get it wrong. Okay, Ruth, concentrate. Right, there we go. Now close that down, cut, I'll do a second one. Oh, perfect. Okay, so look, tiny, tiny sliver, but I did need that to come off there. So, washi tape, good trick. Not done that one before. I mean, I have used washi tape before, but not used it that way. Okay, so what I want to do is stick this on to here first. Actually, I can just do it that way. So a little bit of glue, and then try and get that straight. So that's going to sit like so. And then just trim that following the line of the checkered piece. It's quite thick because you've got 2 layers of card there. Well, that's perfect. That's how I wanted it to look. Get that lined up, see what that looks like. Okay, I feel like I just need to trim off a tiny bit at the top there. Okay. Now for the decoration. Oh, actually, should I do this one as well? I'll do that piece as well while I'm here. So, I'll just flip that over so I don't waste too much of this, because obviously I spent a bit of time sticking this together, so I don't want to waste too much of it. Put that as far up into that corner as I can. Now, it was cut at a slightly different angle, that's why I have to trim a section off. So again, just following the line of that piece of card. This reminds me, actually, there was a striped ribbon a few years ago that Stampin' Up did, and it reminds me of that. I do miss it. It was a lovely ribbon. We do carry a lovely black and white gingham ribbon, but something about a black and white stripe. I'm a bit of a sucker for it. Okay, now ready for some dimensionals. So I thought I would use the black ones for this, because it's nice to be able to, I mean, sometimes the mechanics of a card will show through, just because they will. And, you know, they get viewed from different angles. So it is helpful when you're able to hide the mechanics as much as possible. So, oh, I'm getting better at this trick, I think. Oh dear. Oh, nearly. There we go. Means they come off all in one. Right, I need to get this correct, haven't I? So I'm going to line it up on the bottom, and then hopefully that will all line up. Ah, yes, very happy with that. Okay, I'm going to do the other one and then come back and start on the decor. Okay, so I've got my lovely bases all ready and stuck down. The bottom section has got dimension to it. And now I want to make some pretty flowers. So I have already cut out some gorgeous sparkly leaves, which I think are going to show up against my green, my black and white. I think I may have to put in maybe some different bright sparklies. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so my plan is to actually colour in some flowers. And so I have just basic white cardstock here, and I'm going to just cut out a bunch of pretties and use my alcohol pens, which I have newly organised. Okay, newly organised, because one of my children borrowed a stack load of alcohol pens off me for an exam. They have now come back. I don't know if all of them have come back, because actually no, they haven't, because I know that I'm missing a few. But I have now got newly organised alcohol pens, and I thought it would be nice to do some alcohol pen colouring in rather, and also figure out which ones are dry because I need to order new ones. So yeah, I've cut out some flowers, as you can see. Now I am also going to cut out, because at the side of me I have my heat gun, my glue gun rather, not my heat gun, my glue gun heating up, because I have looked at this little ladybird and thought, nice little rounded body. I think I could make some kind of flower out of it. So I'm going to cut a few of these and see what happens. Also, the wings are particularly good for either creating leaves or flowers. So I decided to do a voice over this bit and speed up the colouring in, because it does get a little bit dull for you to watch. So here I've used Daffodil Delight, light Calypso coral and dark Calypso coral, and just played with the kind of shading and blending those colours onto the daisy. So for the centre I've used the dark Calypso coral, and then sort of tried to push the colour out a little bit into the actual kind of petals as well. So I've basically done two the same of each. So I've got four flowers, but done two the same of each. Then here I'm going back in with the yellow to do a bit more blending, and because I ended up with a bit of a line where the Calypso coral met the Daffodil Delight. So by going in again with the daffodil, it just helps to blend that all together. So that's what often happens when using the alcohol pens. You sort of start with a light colour, then add a darker colour, but then go back in with a lighter colour to blend it back in again. So I'm using the bullet tip here just to add some veining to those flowers. Now with the dark cherry cobbler there, I'm doing lots of tiny dots to give extra texture to the middles of those daisies. So this colour here is Flirty Flamingo, and I decided just to colour all of the flowers that colour. And then with the Daffodil Delight, I just gone into the tips of the flowers, just a little edge, and done a little bit of yellow. And what happens is when you put that lighter colour over the darker colour, it sort of pushes that colour in, and then you just get that tiny little lightning effect on the edge, which is really, really pretty. So because I wanted quite fine detailing, I decided to go in with a black pen, and I knew this was going to be quite dramatic doing this, but I think because I was using black and white as well for the card, I knew it would kind of work. And I just loved just the little tiny thin lines there to create that extra veining, and also the little dots, and sort of I did little dashes coming out of the middles to make it look like it had a fuzzy centre. It reminds me actually, a few years ago we used to have those little yellow fuzzy centres Stampin' Up sold, but sadly we don't have those anymore. So thank you for watching. Just a gentle reminder, do subscribe to my channel if you enjoy the video, and it's always lovely to see the appreciation of thumbs ups as well. It's a great way for me to kind of see which videos are most popular, and it's also a way that YouTube then knows what you enjoy and also suggests videos to other people who may enjoy them too. So thank you. So here are the ladybird bodies, which I'm going to turn into a flower. And I decided to use Highland Heather for the main part and just get those all coloured in. Then dark Highland Heather to do a bit of a kind of darker splash to come out from the middle of the flower. And then some dark Blackberry Bliss, but using the bullet tip to do more of a kind of like sketchy squiggle to come from the centre. And then because I knew that I was going to end up with a little bit of a messy centre with all those bits and pieces having to be stuck together, I thought I would colour in these 2 yellow flowers to be the centre. And here I'm using the light Highland Heather just to add a bit of texture in the centres there. So after I created all the flowers, I then set to put some texture into them and used my trusty tweezers to do that to the smaller flowers, and just gave them a good old tweak with the tweezers. And then for the larger petals, I used the Stampin pad or mat and just the top of a Tombow glue. It's just so brilliant for that sort of thing. So then I decided that I needed some lighter green foliage, but I wanted it glittery, so I cut it out of the white glimmer paper that comes in the pack with the green and the gold, and decided just to experiment with using the Stampin blends to colour them in. So I coloured them the backs and the fronts. I used Granny Apple Green, Mossy Meadow and Old Olive just to see how they would all turn out, and I loved every single one of them, so really enjoyed doing that. Now my camera is about to go out of focus, but I kept it in because I wanted to show you this technique. So with that punch there's a leaf and then like a berry sprig, and what I did was I ended up just colouring the berry sprigs, which I'm about to show you, just as my camera then will go out of focus. But I was so kind of concentrating, I didn't even look at my camera to see what was going on. So I think this was the Old Olive ones now. I didn't mean to keep all this in actually. This was meant to be edited out, but never mind. Anyway, it's my chance to say hello. Hello everybody. Right, this is the yeah, this is the out of focus bit. So I've got my gorgeous little selection of flowers here, and I have my hot glue gun at the ready. And now if you're wondering why I use hot glue from time to time, I do it because it's just a bit quicker, and when you're sticking multiple flowers down, sorry for my cluttering in the background, I'm just grabbing some hot glue sticks, it just makes life a little bit easier and quicker. Okay, so of course you could use liquid glue, you could use glue dots, that's absolutely fine. It just will take a little bit longer for everything to dry. So now here's my gorgeous other leaves, and so I want to start off by cutting some of these down a little bit and don't need to use them as they are, so just going to cut that section there so that fits beautifully there, and then maybe have that one there and take that one off like so. Now this one just needs a little bit of a, where did I cut it off from? Yeah, there. Okay, so this just needs rounding off a little bit from where I cut it, but it's not obvious, and there we go. I'll just stick that one there and that one there. So I've had this on a little while, that's why it's a little bit, the glue's gone a little bit dark, it's kind of like singed in there, so I'm just going to push some glue through. Okay, so just going to pop a little blob there. And a little blob on there. going to try and keep them inside the card as well, so I haven't got to worry about it not fitting in my envelope. Now, of course, hot glue is hot, so try and keep your fingers away from it when you're sticking different elements down. And just trying to see what I've got here to use. Just wondering whether to stick something. So it looks like it's going off up there. This is where the pokey tool, it's like a second finger. Well, it's certainly like a singed free finger anyway. Okay. Right, I hadn't decided which flowers I was going to do for this one, but first of all I want to pop some greenery. Before I do that, I just want to see if the tweezers will give it a little bit of shape. Oh, it does. So as you saw earlier, I used my alcohol pens just to add colour to the more white glimmer paper, and it's turned out absolutely delicious. I have to say, it just has an amazing richness, and you can just grab your alcohol pens and see what comes of it, really. Just trying to figure out where to stick this. There. Okay, like that. I quite like these as well, but I know what, let's get figuring out where the flowers are going to go. So I want to use these ones. Maybe one of the daisies. Oh my goodness. This is turning out like beyond what I thought it would. Really enjoying this process. So let's get these stuck together. So the silicone mat from Stampin' Up is fantastic for using to rest. Oh look, see, I've got glue. I really shouldn't have done that. Anyway, the silicone mat, when you use it, is really useful for laying your hot glue gun down on, because it protects your work surface. Okay, let's stick that together. Okay, maybe that daisy will go better there. Oh, that's so pretty. I love it. And I want to make sure that the stripe does still show a little bit, because that was like the whole point of this, really. So I'm just going to hold these while they cool down. So these cards may need to have a special box made for them, because when you make 3D cards, it's a real shame to have to stick them into a flat envelope. You lose some of that shape. Okay. So I don't need all of that stem, so I'm going to cut that down. Okay, both of these stems need to go. Don't need that one. Don't need that one. And curl these back a little bit. Tiniest amount of glue. Pull that back. Stick that in there. Again, pull this right back. Get that in. It was so worth taking the time over colouring these flowers because there's a real detail and richness to them. Oh, look at that. Oh my goodness. Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, let's do the next one. So for the sort of more traditional sized card, I have gone ahead and embossed these two pieces, and I was wondering whether to do a double bit of ribbon, to have one piece coming across like so, and then having another piece go up like that. So if I cut a section away there and then a section away there, I think that would work. So we'll have a look and see what it looks like. Oh, what happened there? Make sure I get the right angle. Nope. There we go, that's it. I think I quite like the same. Okay, we'll do that. So once again, pop some glue onto there. So this time I think I'm just going to glue it glue it into place. So I'm going to hold that there for a second, and I don't need to cut off that section because it's going to be tucked in under here. So we finally finished. Oh my goodness, this has been a marathon, but so worth it. So worth it. So here we have my My Fair Lady inspired card. So if you haven't seen the film, you may not know what I'm talking about, but if you Google it, My Fair Lady, Audrey Hepburn, Ascot scene dress, you will know what I'm talking about. Now her dress is white, not black, but I wanted the drama, so that's why these cards are black. I've used embossing folders in the background. I created my own sparkly ribbon, gorgeous sparkly ribbon, because it's lush, and then coloured in my own flowers using alcohol pens. No stamping at all today, and I'm looking at this wee flower thinking it could do with a little bit more detail in the centre, so I'm just going to add a few little texture dots there, like that. I think that works. Yes. Maybe a few coming out from the middle as well. And I think that just finishes it off. I'm being very careful not to touch my enamel dots that I've just squeezed out. So I will list in the description all the different items that I used. I will try and list all the colours, all the Stampin' Blend colours that I used. But and also I will take some photographs and try and put them somewhere on social media because I love these. I love them. I love them. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope me not being around this week has been slightly rewarded with me making this video ahead of time. And I have to say I do appreciate every single watcher and subscriber and cheerleader on my channel. You honestly, you make my life so much easier because you know you show great appreciation for the work that I put into what I do. So lots of love to you all, and take care of yourselves and the folks around you. Lots of love. Bye.